You speak English, yet something still feels off. People understand you, but your sentences do not sound natural. There is a small gap between knowing English and sounding fluent. And most people never realize what is actually causing it. You are not bad at English. You already know a good amount of vocabulary. You understand grammar. And you can express your thoughts clearly in many situations. On the surface, everything seems fine. Yet something in your speech feels slightly unnatural and less confident. This is not because you need more advanced words. It is not because you have not studied enough grammar. The real reason is much deeper and often ignored. Once you understand this, your English will start to feel smoother, faster, and more natural without learning anything complicated. The real problem. The real problem is not what you say, but how you think before you say it. Most learners first create a sentence in their native language and then translate it into English. This habit feels natural because that is how your brain has worked for years, but it quietly slows down your fluency. When you translate in your mind, your brain adds an extra step to every sentence. First you think, then you convert, and only after that you speak. This process may seem small, but it creates hesitation, breaks your rhythm, and makes your speech feel less smooth. Because of this, your sentences often sound slightly unnatural. Even when your grammar is correct, the structure may feel different from how English is usually spoken. Native speakers do not translate. They think and speak at the same time, which is why their sentences flow effortlessly. This habit also affects your confidence. You might know the right words, yet you hesitate because you are busy converting your thoughts. That small pause makes you feel unsure, even when you actually understand the language well. Another important issue is expression. Every language has its own way of forming ideas. When you directly translate, you bring your native language patterns into English. The result is sentences that are technically correct but feel unusual or slightly off in real conversations. Over time, this creates frustration. You keep learning more vocabulary, you practice grammar, and you understand English better than before. Yet your speaking does not improve in the way you expect. It feels like you are stuck, even though you are putting in effort. The truth is, fluency is not only about knowledge. It is about speed, flow, and natural expression. And these things cannot develop properly if your brain depends on translation. Once you begin to think directly in English, even in simple sentences, everything starts to change. Your response becomes quicker, your tone becomes more natural, and your confidence improves without forcing it. You stop building sentences word by word and start expressing ideas more freely. This shift may feel difficult in the beginning, but it is the exact step that separates someone who knows English from someone who speaks it naturally. The shift you need. Now the question is, how do you stop translating and start thinking in English? The answer is simple, but it requires awareness and practice. You do not need advanced vocabulary for this. You need a shift in how you form thoughts. Start with small and simple sentences in your daily life. When you see something, describe it in English in your mind. For example, if you are walking outside, think, "The weather is nice today," or "There are many people here." This trains your brain to form thoughts directly in English without depending on translation. At first, your sentences will be basic, and that is completely fine. The goal is not to sound perfect. The goal is to build a direct connection between your thoughts and English. As this connection becomes stronger, your speed and flow will improve naturally. Another powerful method is to stop aiming for perfect sentences. Many learners pause because they want everything to be grammatically perfect before speaking. This creates pressure and slows you down. Instead, focus on expressing your idea clearly, even if the sentence is simple. You should also start noticing how real English is spoken. Listen to conversations, videos, or interviews and pay attention to how sentences are naturally formed. You will realize that fluent speakers often use simple and direct structures instead of complex ones. Try repeating those patterns in your own speaking. Not by memorizing, but by understanding the flow. This helps your brain adapt to natural sentence formation instead of translated structures. Another important step is to respond faster. When someone asks you something, avoid taking long pauses to think in your native language. Even if your answer is short, respond directly in English. This builds confidence and reduces your dependency on translation. With consistent practice, your brain will slowly adjust. You will start thinking in English without forcing it. Your sentences will become smoother, your hesitation will reduce, and your overall communication will feel more natural. This is the shift that changes everything. Not more grammar, not more vocabulary, but a different way of thinking. The real transformation. Once you start thinking in English, you will notice a clear change in the way you speak. Your sentences become faster because your brain is no longer translating. You respond more naturally, and your communication begins to feel effortless. At this stage, fluency is no longer about remembering rules. It becomes about expressing ideas. You focus less on building perfect sentences and more on sharing your thoughts clearly. This shift makes your speech sound more confident and natural. You will also notice improvement in your tone and rhythm. Earlier, your speech may have felt slightly broken or slow. Now, your sentences flow better, and your pauses become more natural. This is what makes someone sound fluent, not just correct. Another major change happens in your confidence. When you stop translating, you stop overthinking. You trust your ability to speak, even with simple words. This removes pressure and helps you communicate more freely in conversations. Your listening skills will also improve. Since you are now thinking in English, you understand spoken English faster. You do not need to convert everything in your mind, which makes conversations easier to follow and respond to. At this point, you may still make small mistakes, and that is completely normal. Fluency does not mean perfection. It means you can communicate smoothly without getting stuck. Over time, even those small mistakes will reduce with regular use. The most important change is that English starts to feel natural to you. It becomes a part of your thinking process instead of a subject you are trying to learn. This is when real progress happens. This is the difference between someone who studies English and someone who lives it. And once you reach this stage, improving further becomes much easier. How to build this habit daily? Now that you understand the change you need, the next step is to make it a daily habit. Without consistency, this shift will not last. The good news is that you do not need extra study time. You can practice this in your normal routine. Start by turning simple moments into practice. When you wake up, think about your day in English. While eating, describe your food. While walking, observe your surroundings and form small sentences in your mind. These small actions train your brain continuously. Another effective method is speaking to yourself in English. It may feel unusual at first, but it works. Talk about what you are doing, what you are planning, or what you are thinking. This builds fluency because you are actively forming thoughts without translation. You can also use short reflection practice. At the end of your day, think about what you did and describe it in English. Keep it simple and natural. This strengthens your ability to express real experiences without overthinking. Listening and repeating is another powerful habit. Choose short clips or conversations and repeat them in your own way. Focus on the flow and structure, not just the words. This helps your brain absorb natural patterns of speaking. One more important step is patience. This change will not happen instantly, but it will happen if you stay consistent. In the beginning, your mind may still try to translate. That is normal. Gently bring your focus back to thinking directly in English. Over time, this practice becomes automatic. You will not even notice when you stop translating. Your thoughts will come in English naturally, and your speaking will feel smoother without effort. This is how real fluency is built. Not by studying more, but by using English as a part of your everyday thinking. Fluency is not about knowing more words or memorizing more rules. It is about how naturally you can express your thoughts. The moment you stop translating and start thinking in English, everything begins to change. At first, it may feel slow and uncomfortable, but that is part of the process. Stay consistent, keep it simple, and focus on daily practice. With time, your English will not just improve, it will start to feel natural. And that is the real goal. Not perfect English, but confident and effortless communication. If this changed the way you see your English, consider subscribing and staying connected for more. If you found this helpful, a like really supports the content and keeps it growing. You can share this with someone who understands English but still struggles to sound natural. Try writing one sentence in English in the comments without translating, just your thoughts. If you want to keep improving step by step, turn on the bell icon so you do not miss what comes next. Thank you for watching and putting in the effort to improve. It means a lot that you chose to learn with this video.